Hello everyone, welcome to today's video. As you can tell by the title, today we're going to test out the PA-44, the Piper Seminole of Carenado. And first of all, as you could have seen in the intro, the visuals are just outstanding. I think from a visual point of view, all kind of add-ons in the Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020 are doing a fantastic job, and most of the developers are merging into this market are doing a very good job on the visuals. Like all the reflections out here you can see from the metal structure of the fuselage are just amazing. They look really realistic. In my opinion, everything still looks a little bit too shiny and too new and unused kind of thing. In my opinion, a real aircraft as I'm used to it in real life, they have a little more wear and tear here and there in all the spots outside of the aircraft, as well as in the flight deck or cockpit. And talking about the details, I have to say Carenado did a really good job. Like all those smaller details, the scissors, the oleo strut, the springs over here on the front gear, it all looks really good and detailed. There are small signs of usage here on the paint, I would say, but overall it looks really shiny and new, as I just said. Smaller details like the hydraulic lines over here to the main landing gear, it's all done really nicely. So welcome to the cockpit of the Piper Seminole. This is pretty much the initial startup state that you'll get as soon as you load the aircraft. I just popped open the right hand side Copilot store here, and that's something you can do via this nice feature Carenado gives in all the aircraft so far. It's a little iPad or tablet, which is kind of representing an EFB to switch on and off those kind of additional things here, like static elements, external power, the tow bar, if you want to see the pilots from the outside. So it's always a nice feature. I feel like you can even switch to a different state of the aircraft or cockpit, like ready for taxi, cold and dark, ready for takeoff, and it gives you the basic checklist, before takeoff checklist, landing checklist. You'll get a whole bunch of checklists, even abnormal checklists with the product itself. If you downloaded it, you can look them up in your folders, print them out, put it on another device next to your virtual flight deck if you want to fly like in real life operation. So yeah, really like the amount of work Carenado put in that one. Speaking of the visuals here on the flight deck, it looks really good and really realistic. I think they did a better job in making this look more like of daily usage. As you can see, like there's wear and tear on the seats, on the carpet, on the floor. Like even the panel over here, there's like a little bit of dirt on it, just as it would be in real life. These planes are not brand new. It's not like a Cirrus or something, or a DA-42 if you're talking about multi-engine planes. So they done a really nice job on the interior here, and the modelation of it is just amazing. As I feel like pretty much every plane right now on the market for Flight Simulator 2020 looks really good. So the only thing I have to worry about, I feel like right now at this stage, is the depth of the system. For example, of the Garmin GNS 430 or 530. This is still the default one, so there isn't anything special or more simulated depth in it. So yeah, we still have to deal with it, but I would say for VFR flying, even to lean or practice for real life procedures, this is really great, and it does a really good job. So okay, I'm just going to get along, start this thing up, and try out the handling and the flying characteristics, as this really is the first time for me trying out this aircraft. Okay, so let's continue and start up the aircraft. First of all, we're going to put on the alternator and batteries over here on the left side. Make sure the cowl flaps of the engines are opened. The mixture of the engine we're going to start first should be on rich, but we can put both of them to rich already. The prop levers are on a high RPM setting. The throttle should be open 1/2 inch. The magnetos of the respective engine we're going to start first should be on. Those are those guarded switches over here. So let's put that off here and turn on the right side. This should be open as well. And you also got to make sure in the pre-flight already that the fuel control switches over here are put to on. Then, as we were standing for quite a while here on this airfield already, I'm just going to use the primer, just a short tip here, and then we are trying to start up the engine. And there you go. Engine number 2 is running smoothly, and it sounds really nice, I gotta say. So we're doing the same thing with the left-hand engine. Prime it, and start the left-hand side. Put the guards on the magnetos again. So now we have both magnetos on. Okay, so here we are. Everything is fired on. Just making sure the VFR transponder code is set. It's on standby. GNS is working. The comm panel is working. So this aircraft doesn't really have taxi lights. I'm just going to turn on the landing lights over here. Make sure the parking brake is off, and we can slowly start moving towards the runway. Okay, so here we are, fully configured for takeoff. Everything is set, as you can see. The lights are set, the flaps are driven for takeoff. We just read the takeoff checklist, and we are ready to go. I'm really excited now, and really curious to see how this aircraft is going to perform and what the characteristics are going to be like. So yeah, here we go. Let's get ready for takeoff. Okay, so we are all set. Run-out checklist completed, before takeoff checklist completed. Make sure the fuel pumps are on. You've set your trim and the flaps for takeoff. So just releasing the brakes, setting takeoff power, and off we go. Okay, power set. Rotation speed will be 75 on this one for normal takeoff run. That's airspeed alive. 60. And rotate. That's positive rate of climb, gear up. And it feels really stable right away, I gotta say. I feel like flying a multi-engine aircraft in real life would give you more rudder input that would be needed to keep the aircraft aligned. That's not the case here in the simulator, but I think in general that's something that the simulator can still work on. But as you can tell by just the number of multi-engine aircraft, for example, I think it's something that will be implemented in the future as well. At least I really hope. Okay, so we're just climbing out here with 100 knots. We can retract the flaps, retrim the aircraft a little bit, and we're just going to climb out here. Okay, I'm just trying out my first turns here. We're still climbing with a little bit over 100 knots, and I really gotta say it handles really nicely. It's laying in the air is, I would say, really stable, so you got to put in a lot of input. Kind of reminds me on a Cessna, and it feels really smooth and stable on the controls, so I feel like that is pretty realistic to what I'm used to in real life, and it feels good.
this far. Don't stop now. Reaching for a distant star. Don't stop now. Isn't it strange how we're safe and home? So that I counting days until the second call.
Okay, so here we are. We just started our initial descent, and as you can see, the sun started to set, and I moved the time slide a little bit more forward so I can tell you a little bit more about the cockpit lighting. And what I can tell right now is that it looks absolutely gorgeous. The switches itself are lighted pretty well, and the instrument itself are lighted as well really nicely. So it's doing a really nice job, and it's really immersive and feels real to me. So absolutely amazing here. Okay, so we just made a midfield crossing at Friday Harbor. Now we're going to make a left turn to join the downwind, and then we are going to land on runway 34 at Friday Harbor. So I'm just going to turn off the autopilot now, and take over menu of flight, reduce the thrust a little bit. One thing I gotta mention for a multi-engine aircraft in general, especially for the PA-44s, you gotta put an eye on your power management. If you're not going to reduce thrust early enough, you'll get in trouble if you want to slow down with these kinds of aircraft. But as you can see, if you reduce your vertical speed, it's quite an easy job. So another thing on the PA-44 is if you reduce the thrust a little too far without the aircraft being configured, means gear down, flap drive, etc. If you go to 14 inches, you will get this beeping sound. It's like a warning that your thrust setting is too low for the aircraft with this kind of setting. You can always silence those kind of things with the horn cutout here. Then you get this illumination on the warning light. It tells you that you just silenced the horn, and you can then, of course, just keep reducing your thrust even to idle without this horn going on. Okay, so here we are, final approach. Everything is set. We put the RPM levers back to full forward, increase the mixture again. Flaps are fully extended, and we're clear to land. Don't want to get too fast here, just trying to keep it around 75 to 80 knots for the approach. Bumpy right now here. Coming into idle as we flare. And down we are. Just going to let it roll out, just push the brake just a tiny bit. Vacate the runway, and the next takes away to the left. Alright, here we are, just shut down the aircraft, and all I gotta say is that this is a really, really nice aircraft. It handles really nicely, it's doing what it should do. It gives a really immersive and kind of real feeling, I would say. So I'm really happy about this product, and of course there are here and there small things that are not really as it should be. The autopilot behavior, like the system depth of the GNS systems, but I'm sure those are all things that will be improved in the future, and for now this is an absolutely gorgeous and beautiful aircraft. All I can say is those add-on aircrafts like this one from Carenado just give you a little more realism to the flight simulator, and I really say this is a good choice to go for. It's a lot of fun.